Okay, so now it's time to start talking about what to do with these lines here to create them. And everybody thinks it's about just scratching a line in it, but really it's about carving to create those wedges and those grooves. So here's my little sphere that we practiced on, and you can see what my goal here was to get each of those wedges coming in, and there should be a nice little V there. So I've done a couple of bad ones on here too, just to illustrate. Some people think it's just about drawing a line in there. Nope. And some people go way too deep. If you go way too deep like this, you're going to create a green pepper kind of look. So that's not what we want either. So this is what we're going for the wedges and the grooves on our pumpkin. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and that's why we have the practice one, so that you can try it out on this one and do a little practice here before you jump to doing it on the big one. One other thing I'd like to do is take a second to just draw what is happening on the bottom of the pumpkin. So it's got a little belly button that sticks out, so I'm going to use that as a reference and draw my little belly button on here, and these lines should come in and meet that belly button there. So my lines will come across that as I carve. So for carving, my favorite tool is, again, the little squared off loop tool. And what I like to do here is follow this line, and it doesn't really matter where I start. I'm going to follow this line, dig that tool in about the depth of that loop tool, and I'm going to come up and out in a swooping motion, curving this way. Some people make a mistake and they curve up and out this way, and they end up taking that and making it wider than what it should be. Again, we're trying to create a little V in there. So as I create that, and you may not get it exactly right the first time, that's okay. Again, just about the depth of the tool down here, and as I get to the bottom here, it's going to fade off a little bit. So best way to get the other side, because I'm right-handed, is going to be to flip it and take it this way. So I'll start from here, again swooping up and out. And I'm trying to get my tool back right in that same little dent that I started with, so that that line doesn't wander back and forth. And when I'm done, I'll have these carving marks in there. So what I'm going to do is come along here with my side of my loop tool and just gently get rid of any little carving marks that are left there. And again, what I want is just a little bit of a V shape in there. Don't go too deep, and clean it up nice and good. So when I'm done, I should end up with something that looks kind of like this, and I'll show it from this view so you can see just how, you know, kind of shallow those are. Still kind of flat out here, but we've got a nice little V in there that creates those humps. Go team. Carry these wedges and grooves up to the top. What I like to have is just a little bit of a swoop in at the top of my pumpkin. You can see that represented on this one. We can see that these lines swoop back in down to that stem there. So I'm going to kind of use the same process I did here. I'm going to dig my loop tool in just next to my stem and work my way around so that I get that swoop up and out of there. Okay, so I've got that swooping in there a little bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and carry these wedges and grooves all the way to the center. So they will slowly taper off as we get to the middle, but so I just need to kind of finish this as we get to the center there a little bit. So I'm going to redraw these lines and just work my wedges up in there a little bit more until they slowly disappear. And I'll do that all the way around. Okay, now I need to work just a little bit on the bottom of it. So we talked about, you know, the bottom of the pumpkin. It's got this little belly button. So I'm going to draw that little belly button in there. And that belly button is an outie. It pops out just a little bit from the rest of the pumpkin. So I'm going to just around that carve out just a little bit. And that's going to make that appear to pop up. And then I'll feather that in with the rest of these grooves that are running around the pumpkin.